Hey everybody, it's Rob, and today we are going to talk a little bit about grinding up grains, making flours and meals, that kind of thing. And by meal, I don't mean the meal you eat, I do, but meal like cornmeal or flour meal or that kind of thing. Let's say you're a prepper, just for argument's sake, and you've got all this food stored, including some whole wheat in bags, and maybe even some Milo to feed your chickens, but you know, it turns out that's good to eat too. What are you going to do? How are you going to cook it? Now, you can take whole wheat and you can boil it and make cereal, and that works pretty good. And if you crack it, like we're going to do here in a minute, then it boils up a lot quicker and cooks up a lot softer in a hurry, and still works really good. Takes a lot less fuel to cook it that way. And you can grind it all the way down into flour and make really good bread, pancakes, biscuits, that kind of good stuff. So I figure what I'll do is I'll show you what I've got. Now, by the time we're done, this may sound like or look like a review of this particular grain mill or even an endorsement for it, and it's not, although I like it real well. We've been real happy with it. But this just happens to be what I've got, and we got this one because we understood it was a good one. This is the Country Living Grain Mill. You know, I can get over here. The light's kind of weird right now, but this is it. That's the main frame of the thing right there. There's the handle or the flywheel, which is made that you can actually put a motorized belt on there or hook it up to a bicycle, I guess, if you wanted to do that. And these are some of the different components of it. You see down here, these are the grinding components. There's one of the grinding plates right there. The other one is mounted permanently onto the machine. I mean, you can take it off, but it's stationary, I guess would be the right way to put it. This particular mill right here, I haven't bought any of the fancy attachments that go for like the bucket, not bucket, but the catcher, the flour catcher that you can get. I've just done it kind of, you know me, kind of redneck old-fashioned style, and just got boards up there that kind of hold it in place where everything sits good. I built a little platform for it so that I can mount it to a workbench or a kitchen table or whatever else and then take it loose when we're done. If we were going to set it up and use it all the time, I would have it permanently mounted on something heavy. Right now, I just hold it on here with these C-clamps so it doesn't move around too much. The table moves, but the mill itself doesn't move too much. And then when I'm done, I can take it off and go put it back where we store it out there, get it back in shape again. Along with this, one of the things, after we got this probably 5 or 6 years ago, and we're very glad that we did. But you know, because we like to be prepared and be ready for whatever. One of the things we got is what's called the extra parts kit, and it has an extra shaft, has extra grinding plates that we can use. It's got an extra auger. The auger is what actually moves the grain through there. This is the small one that moves wheat, and it comes with the bigger one that moves beans and corn and bigger grain, stuff like that, along with all the little parts and pieces that go with it. We figured it was a good idea to have. It also came with an extension for the handle there, which moves the handle out a few inches from the main flywheel and makes turning, just because of the whole physics thing, makes it turning a whole lot easier. There's a cap that goes over the top there so you can keep nasty stuff out when you're not using it. We keep it in a plastic bag, big garbage bag, when we're not using it, so that's how we do that. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put it all back together, and then I'll show you kind of in steps kind of as I do that, and we'll see how it works. Then we're going to grind up a little bit of wheat. Okay, so the first thing we do in putting it together is we put the flywheel and the crank assembly back in. It just slips through one easy motion. And coming apart the way it does makes it a whole lot easier to take apart too, I can tell you, and clean. So we slide that guy in. Now we can put, the next step is to put 1 or 2 of these washers in it. I'm going to put 2 in it because I don't want, if you only put 1 in there, then the plates will crank down tighter and you get a lot finer grain. We don't want to do that yet, and the reason for that is I want it to be a coarser grind to start with, and then I'm going to run it through a second time to grind it into a fine flour. The first time I do it though, I just want to kind of crack it up and break it and make it a little bit easier to turn. It gets harder to turn. These things can, especially like with popcorn and things like that, can be really hard to turn. So the next thing we're going to do, we're going to put the auger in there. This is the part that moves the grain forward. Then the first grinding wheel, which there's a little key that has to go there to keep it from turning. This will hold it in place. There we go. Now I'll put the outside washers on that space it out from the clamp here. That dude started. Come on. There we go. Left hand is not always my best thing. And I'm going to crank it. Now that I've got it on far enough, I can just do it this way to screw it all the way in until it hits. Click right there. I don't know if you can hear it. You can hear it grinding. So I'm going to, from there, I'm going to back it off just a little bit. That's where I'm going to want it. Alright, now we'll get this dude here, set it up in there. You can see I'm starting with right about a cup full of wheat, whole wheat kernels. This is hard red wheat, winter wheat, a lot of people call it. I think you can get winter wheat in hard red or hard white. Hard white wheat supposedly makes a better bread flour. It's just like a pure, cleaner, prettier flour. But hard red wheat works really well too. It makes a great wheat, and I think the price is usually a little cheaper on that. So we're going to dump that guy, get that up a little higher where we can see. Really, I can. I've used the camera before. There we go. Right in there. Move you over here, you can see. There we go. Pour that into the hopper there. And that's all I got to do. Now it's ready to go. And from there, we can start grinding. Still grinding a pretty fine flour, so I'm going to back it up just a little bit. Now, it's not hard to turn by any means, but it takes a little while. This is just kind of a slow process. I'm going to look at the clock. It is right now 10 minutes until 7. It's actually 6:52. So I'll start grinding. Back it off a little more. Back it off a little more. A little bit more. There we go. Now, I'll bring you in here close and you can see what it's doing. It is grinding it into pretty small kernels, but not quite a fine flour yet. As the camera goes all over the place. Nothing like amateur hour, right? So there we go. You see it falling off in there now. Alright, so not to bore y'all with all that because it gets tedious. You don't want to watch that forever. We are going to, just for right now, I'm going to get it all ground up small like that, and then we'll dump it and I'll tell you how long it took. So now it's 6:53. Be back in a bit. Okay, now at this point I have gotten the first grind through. It took about 4 minutes because I had it set pretty loose, and you can see what it looks like in there. Kind of coarse ground. There's a few whole grains that slipped through because I loosened it up a little bit too much there at the end. But it's mostly broken up where it will cook real easy now. This would make a real good wheat gruel, I guess that's the right word. Kind of a cereal type of thing. You know, Wes and I did that on our bug out exercise. We had some cracked wheat that he had brought and we cooked up, and it was quite good. Even for a toothless guy like me, I was able to kind of get it mushed up and did pretty good. It's the kind of thing that'll keep you fed, and the flavor is just pretty good when you do it that way too. I mean, it's not bad, especially if you were at all hungry. That would do the job. But we're set back up now, so move the camera over here. Pardon me while you're all over the world. May cut it out and I may not, because we'll see how much editing I want to do. And we're going to now, whoops, there we go, kind of get started going again here. And I've got it kind of set where, if I can get my camera to cooperate, there we go. Kind of got it set where you should be able to see what's going on as we make some flour, and it starts coming out more fine and like a bread flour. Now, right now I've got it, it's kind of like a whole wheat flour kind of thing. Well, obviously it's whole wheat flour, but it's not quite fine bread flour. So I'm going to tighten it up just a little more, about like that. A little bit more. And of course, the tighter I get it, the longer it takes to run it through. There we go. That looks pretty good like that. That's going to make a good bread flour. Although, I'm actually planning on using this batch to make some pancakes with. Maybe we'll talk about that later. So, I'm going to start grinding, and let me see what time it is. And I'll tell you, it is straight up 7 o'clock right now. So, be back. I'm going to call it 15 minutes. We'll see if I'm right or not. All right, bye. Okay, well, this is going faster than I remember. I'm 2 minutes in right now, not even quite 3 minutes in, and I'm a little over halfway, maybe quite a bit over halfway into the process. And you can see down in there the flour that it's making and how pretty that looks. And so I'll get back to it in another 2 minutes. I'll have me done. I said 15 minutes. I think the whole thing's going to take about 5 minutes. We shall see. Alright, so there it is. It's done. It is ground and floured and ready to make something with. It is not quite as fine as I was wanting it to be, but I bet I can probably run it through. I may run it through one more time just to grind it a little bit smaller, but counting the first 3 or 4 minutes that we had to crack it and then reload it and get it all done, we've been here 10 minutes now through the whole process, so not very long. So that's pretty handy. It's shorter than I remember it taking. But anyway, that's how we do it. That's how you grind flour. You save all that wheat, you make all the good choices, and you get the right stuff to do it with. And having the right stuff, you know, as an electrician, I can tell you, the right tools make any job a whole lot easier. And that is especially true with things like this. Now, I don't remember what I paid for it. I don't want to say. You know, I will say, I will guess that we paid about $300-ish for this machine here, maybe more than that, because like I say, it's been several years ago that we got it. And then we paid for the parts and accessories, spare parts and accessories kit, and bigger grain parts. We paid probably another, I'm going to call it a couple of hundred. I don't know if that's right or not. You know, there's probably lots of deals to be had on stuff like this. Sometimes it's better just to get it done than to look forever for a better deal. And looking for a better deal, some people have better. Happy Hair has good luck finding better deals. When I do something, I'm lazy. I find the first one. If it's not too far above everything else, that's fine. Get it here, and I'm done with it. But there we go. That's how you grind grain. That's how you make flour. This is how you pretend to be the little red hen. So there we go. Thanks. And I'm going to add some stuff on there. I'll show you. My cousin and wife were here, and we ground up some pinto beans and some rice and some Milo, and what else did we do? We did something else. Popcorn. Yeah, we ground popcorn. You know, it surprised me in that last video that I put out where I talked about using popcorn to make cornbread and cornmeal. A lot of people hadn't heard of that. I figured everybody knew that. So in that video, I'll show you a little bit about grinding some popcorn too. So, all right, guys, thanks very much. Oh, I'm recording. Look at me. I'm stupid. Hey, I ran it back through a second time like I said I was going to do, just so I can get a little bit finer grind on it. It was completely good the way it was. But what I decided to do was show you, first of all, it took probably, we're going to call it 6 minutes maybe to go through, because when it's all floury and powdery, it just moves a lot slower. But I figured we'd pour it up and we'll just see how much we've got here. We started off with a cup of wheat. And a cup of whole wheat is going to yield us, let's see, I'm betting it's going to be about 1.5 cups to 1.25 cups. If I can do it without spilling it. Yeah, look at there. See, it was level full to the top, and now, yeah, it's a little bit over. So I'm gonna call it 1.25 cups. Might be a little bit more than that. But you can see though, that's not bad. That's plenty enough to do some cooking with. So, in fact, I had an idea of a certain guy I know that also does YouTube videos, pretty cool dude, who makes bread. And before I say his name, I don't want to put him on the spot, but I may give him a holler and see if we might do a collaboration thing, and I'll send this flour to him and see if he can make some really good, cool bread out of it. He may not be interested, but I'm going to ask him, and we'll find out. And if we do, I'll let you know. And if he says no, I may cut this whole part of the video out entirely. So we'll see what happens. Anyway, there we go. Hope y'all liked it. Alright, so while y'all weren't looking, I went ahead and did another batch of flour and ground it up just so I'd have a little extra. So now I'm going to see if I can get it sacked up. This is actually a canning funnel for when you're canning stuff in jars, but big wide mouth like it is and open is big, it makes it easy to pour flour in, I feel like. Looky there. Looky there. Maybe not even make too big of a mess if we're lucky. Wow. Spilled a little bit, but not much. And so, ta-da. Now, got that bag and that bag, about the same. And there we go. Extra cup of flour ready to go if I can get the bag to seal. I bet it'll seal. Anyway, there you go.